people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. The ongoing Cruiserweight situation by way of the IBF. Team Opetaia calls for immediate purse bid in lieu of negotiation period for IBF-ordered Breidis rematch. That's right.
Yeah.
As a result of Richard Riakporhe withdrawing, Mairis Breidis is the next man in line, and the fight has been ordered.
Not sure this is what Team Jai Opetaia wanted. In truth, I'm not sure that this is what Team Breidis wanted either.
This is where we are. I can confirm that representatives of Ring Magazine and IBF Cruiserweight champion Jai Opetaia have called for an immediate purse bid in relation to the scheduled defense against mandatory challenger Mairis Breidis. Matt Clark, Opetaia's manager, confirmed Thursday evening, Friday local time in Australia. Opetaia is represented by Tasman Fighters and Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing. Breidis is promoted by Wasserman Boxing, headed by Helenius Sorland. The two promotional outfits often work well together, including heavyweight fights this weekend between unbeaten contenders Filip Hrgovic and Dempsey McKean.
Number of outlying factors have kept Jai Opetaia out of action for the last 12 months, recovering from a broken jaw in 2 places.
Needed time to recuperate from that, as well as the promotional issues, the legal issues with Dean Lonergan, and sorting that situation out.
Mairis Breidis, he didn't have as many issues, as many problems as Jai Opetaia the last 12 months, but he hasn't fought in the last 12 months either, just like Jai.
Jai Opetaia has already spent all of 2023 watching fights fall through before he can even schedule a date. The 28-year-old southpaw was previously ordered to face Poland's Matthias Masternak. Plans fell through when Masternak bailed on the purse bid process. A similar development occurred when London's Richard Riakporhe, who was pulled from the mandatory title fight just hours before the matter was due to head to a purse bid hearing this past Tuesday.
So why are they calling for an immediate purse bid? What's the play there?
Perhaps it's because they don't want to lose any more time negotiating further. They want an immediate purse bid so that a bid is put in and the splits are set.
Looks like this might be the only fight Jai has the entirety of this calendar year.
You negotiate the fight now and you do it sometime in, I don't know, either September or October. That doesn't leave Jai much time to get back out there, so it looks like he might fight just once this entire calendar year.
Same applies to Mairis Breidis if they go through with this thing. Mairis Breidis didn't have the promotional and legal issues that Jai Opetaia had, but he hasn't rebounded off the loss to Jai. He hasn't fought.
He's about 10 years older than Jai Opetaia. It was a physically arduous fight for the both of them. Physically taxing, especially for an older fighter like a Mairis Breidis, who's been around the block more than once. As you can imagine,
38 years old, well, you don't feel at 38 how you felt at 28.
I think it's a testament to how physically taxing that fight between them was that Mairis Breidis hasn't seen action since that fight, even though he could have had a rebound fight by now. This rematch between them, it's impromptu. It wasn't on my bingo card.
It's the byproduct of Masternak pulling out and Riakporhe following him.
2 separate withdrawals involving 2 separate fighters has led us here to this potential second fight. I wonder if Mairis Breidis really wants it.
Does he actually want a rematch?
The subsequent weeks and months that followed their initial meeting, I didn't see Mairis Breidis clamoring for one, asking for one.
It was a hard fight for the both of them, but Jai Opetaia is a much younger fighter with less miles on the odometer.
Even though he suffered a broken jaw in that fight, he is still the younger, fresher fighter with the fresher reflexes. They both have considerable ring rust to shake off, but in this situation, you do kind of have to favor Jai.
He's got less wear and tear than Mairis Breidis. Mairis is pushing 40.
He's getting long in the tooth. Does he have another war left in him? One more gutting and gritty performance like his previous performance with this same fighter? Does he have another one of those?
One more in the pantry?
The plot thickens at Cruiserweight. Just in keeping with the theme of all things Cruiserweight, the latest from ProBox, the latest on former champion Zurdo Ramirez. Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez is nearly set to make his 2023 debut. Ramirez is one of the prominent fighters with Golden Boy Promotions, seeing the final details on his next fight being wrapped up currently. When speaking to ProBox TV News, Golden Boy Promotions' president Eric Gomez explained when Zurdo would return, as well as some more information. We are actually in the final stages of finalizing his fight. He will be coming back in October, Gomez told ProBox TV News. So we have been in negotiations with an opponent and can't really say anything at this time.
Why would they put a gag order on who Zurdo Ramirez might be fighting in October? Why are they sworn to secrecy?
I heard something a few weeks ago about Zurdo Ramirez trying to get in position to fight for the WBC title. The WBC title that Badu Jack holds, but Badu Jack is supposed to be moving up in weight to take on Lukas Rozansky in the Middle East.
Did he change his mind?
In this sport, anything is possible. It's possible that Badu Jack decided not to go through with the Rozansky fight to stay at Cruiserweight and take on Zurdo, who in many ways is a bigger name than Lukas Rozansky. It's just as possible that Zurdo is set to fight Sergey Kovalev, who is also campaigning as a Cruiserweight now.
Yeah, but he's Russian.
The WBC is going to let him fight in an eliminator to get in position to fight for their title. What about their hardline stance against Russians?
Listen, sweetheart, Artur Beterbiev's Russian. He's just as if not more Russian than Dmitry Bivol, and I ain't got no problem with him.
Eric Gomez continued, "It is a well-known fighter. It is an ex-champion, but I just can't talk about it until the contracts are signed."
So maybe it's Sergey Kovalev? From the sound of that, it doesn't sound like they're challenging Badu Jack directly. Maybe it's Sergey Kovalev. He's an ex-champion. He's well-known. Maybe it's John Pascal.
He's an ex-champion as well. He's coming off that loss to Michael Eifert down there at light heavyweight. Maybe he's the next light heavyweight that decides to campaign as a cruiserweight instead. Eric Gomez continued, yes, Ramirez will be fighting at cruiserweight. Look, he's a big kid. He has been at that weight for a long time, and sometimes your body just betrays you. Just because you were able to make the weight 3 months prior, 4 months prior.
Zurdo Ramirez was supposed to be fighting Gabriel Rosado in a rebound fight at light heavyweight, and he blew the weight by a lot. Blew it by a wide margin, so much that the contest was scrapped.
Sometimes your body just betrays you. Just because you were able to make the weight 3 months prior, 4 months prior, your body changes, and he learned that the hard way. It is behind him now, and he has been training hard. So we're anticipating that we are going to get the best possible Zurdo that we have seen in the past.
This is Zurdo Ramirez's best bet to become a world champion again, because I wouldn't give him any kind of odds against Artur Beterbiev had he stayed at light heavyweight and looked to fight that guy.
Not that Artur Beterbiev was available, because he wasn't. He has a mandatory to satisfy in Callum Smith, and then another in Michael Eifert. But in a hypothetical scenario where Zurdo would have stayed at light heavyweight and looked to fight that guy,
Would have got knocked the fuck out.
he already got outclassed by Dmitry Bivol. Opposite the ring, today's Artur Beterbiev, even today's injury-prone Artur Beterbiev, I think would have been too much for Zurdo Ramirez. But at cruiserweight, he's got a shot.
Opposite the ring, aging ex-champions like Sergey Kovalev, perhaps an aging ex-champion in Jean Pascal. I feel like those two guys are in the running, and that's why Eric Gomez doesn't want to say any names.
I just feel like it's one of those two guys. The WBC might come under fire, come under criticism, if it turns out they're allowing Sergey to fight.
Remember, they said they would not let Dmitry Bivol fight for their version of the title at light heavyweight. If they turn around and let Sergey fight for any version of their title at cruiser,
It's a brazen double standard. That's hypocrisy, is what that would be in that scenario. And we'll see if it's Sergey that Zurdo ends up fighting. You see, Zurdo's moving up to cruiserweight at a time when Badu Jack is moving up to bridgerweight. And if Badu Jack is successful up there, he might vacate the title he holds at cruiser, at which point Zurdo can pick it up.
might break down that way. Or maybe things don't work out for Badu Jack up there at bridgerweight. He moves down to cruiser, and if he's still champion, he can defend his title against Zurdo.
Could break down a lot of ways, but in any event, this really is Zurdo's best bet to see himself crowned a world champion again.
We're not talking about Zurdo moving up in weight to take on somebody like Jai Opetaia, who we just talked about, or Richard Riakporhe, just some young fighter, young champion.
He's fighting an ex-champion, and whoever it is, it's likely someone that's getting long in the tooth, thus making them an opportunistic opponent for Zurdo Ramirez. So we'll see who it is.
Who he ends up fighting.
north of cruiserweight and bridgerweight at heavyweight, Derek James on Anthony Joshua says, "It's one thing to hang out with the champions. It's another to be able to endure the workouts," addressing Anthony Joshua's change of decorum, his change of ambiance, and all of his stablemates.
Frank Martin, Errol Spence, Jermel Charlo,
Ryan Garcia. Everybody says they want to be a world champion, James said in a video published on Joshua's YouTube channel. But people are not willing to do what it takes to be a world champion. Even in this gym, you're put through the test because it's one thing to mean you want to hang out with the champs, you want to hang out with other top fighters. It's another thing to be able to endure the workout and endure the work. So it's a big thing. He's been pushing himself. He's asking me, what can I do more? How can I be better? How can I improve my fitness more? And that's really a sign of a great individual and a great champion. Someone who really wants to be better and is working. He's doing it in this 100-degree heat.
I still have faith in this partnership. I still have faith in Derek James and what he can mold Anthony Joshua into.
Anthony Joshua, who says, "It would be silly to underestimate Helenius. I've got to take him deadly serious. It would be silly
To make the same mistake twice, because we've been here before where Anthony Joshua ends up taking on a late replacement as a result of his opponent testing positive for a banned substance.
These were identical circumstances when Anthony ended up facing Andy Ruiz instead of Jarrell Miller.
Now he's facing Robert Helenius instead of Dillian Veit.
It's the same situation. It's the same circumstances. It'd be silly to underestimate Helenius. Silly to underestimate anyone, Joshua said during a press conference Wednesday in London. So I've got to take him deadly serious. And credit to him as well. He's coming to roll the dice. He wants to win. As you mentioned, other heavyweights with certain people, obviously finance is the big issue. Risk versus reward. But in reality, that's not all there is to this for him. He wants to win, so he's here. So good luck to him.
Circumstances are very similar, immediate parallels that can be drawn between what happened with Ruiz and what could happen with Helenius, with the difference being that Helenius doesn't have Ruiz's reputation.
He doesn't have Andy Ruiz's punch resistance. He doesn't have Andy Ruiz's chin or hand speed mid-range to inside. He is a much bigger target than Andy Ruiz. I happen to think that because Andy is a shorter, more portly fighter,
It's awkward for a guy as tall as Anthony to fight somebody as short as Andy Ruiz. It's a smaller target with faster hands.
quick counters, whereas Robert Helenius is a bigger, slower target that has been stopped before by lesser punchers than Anthony Joshua. Lest we forget, Johan Duipa knocked this guy out. So did Gerald Washington.
So maybe Anthony will too.
And shout out to everyone in Finland as well. I've been there before, and we're looking to combine UK, Finland, and the rest of the world to bring some good entertainment from the top right to the bottom. The undercard is phenomenal, so yeah, don't miss a fight. Do not miss a fight because this card is unbelievable.
Deontay Wilder knocked out Robert Helenius in more recent years. He knocked him out late last year, and Robert, he has since rebounded off that loss just last week in his native Finland.
Must really like his chances to take on Anthony Joshua. Quick turnaround like that.
On this kind of notice.
So because of the number of tickets they've already sold, salvaging the event, having something to salvage, I'm sure that Eddie Hearn and Matchroom made it well worth Robert Helenius' while. Late replacements aren't ideal, Joshua said, but I'd say this is the third time it's happened. We had it with Kubrat Pulev and Carlos Takam years ago, Jarrell Miller and Andy Ruiz more famously, now this situation. So this is what happens. A long career, we're all presented with these types of obstacles, and I've just got to get used to them. So yeah, this is just another rock in my shoe on towards the top of the mountain.
Learning from his past experiences and what mistakes he's made in the past, I don't think he's looking past Robert Helenius, because this is one last hurdle, one last obstacle to overcome en route to the long-awaited, long-anticipated Deontay Wilder fight.
The long-awaited, long-anticipated Deontay Wilder fight that Wilder's trainer says the deal for it, it's almost done.
You know, Wilder was ordered to fight Andy Ruiz late last year by way of the WBC, but to date, no deal between them has been finalized. They are at odds
over the money. So it's looking more and more like Wilder's going to go into that Joshua fight having not fought in over a year's time.
Being out for that amount of time can affect your timing, your sharpness, your reflexes. Deontay Wilder relies on those reflexes to time that right hand.
To catch guys with it. But pushing 40, I mean, as old as he is and as long as he's been out of the ring, it's not encouraging ahead of what could be the Joshua fight. And if they bring the Joshua fight into fruition, that is a direct indictment against Tyson Fury and against Frank Warren, who questioned the Saudis' abilities to deliver this show.
Remember, originally they wanted to do Joshua versus Wilder and Usyk versus Fury on the same card.
I think they should both be in the ring with each other regardless, Scott told Sky Sports News. Performance-wise, win or lose, me, Deontay Wilder, and AJ should be in a boxing ring together. It should happen. It would be a true tragedy if we get the Riddick Bowe versus Lennox Lewis, who never fought, effect with Deontay and Anthony. Them two deserve to be in the ring with each other, and if Anthony can take care of business this weekend, and I think he can, I think he will.
Wilder's next.
I know that there are parallels that can be drawn between this situation and what became the Ruiz situation, but you have to understand, Robert Helenius is a bigger target with an upright torso who's been stopped at least 3 times before.
Solid right hand from Anthony should put him away.
The January thing is locked in as it's going to be, Scott said. In the boxing world, nothing to me is done until it's actually over. That's my personal opinion. But the high-level talk, the deal is almost done. According to Scotch, just because his boxer knocked out the 39-year-old Helenius, it doesn't mean Joshua will not have problems in the fight. We iced him. I mean, literally iced him, froze him, Scott said. Helenius can fight. I love him. He has a great style. He's long. His chin is always behind his front knee, besides the time he's fought us, and he paid. AJ may be facing a way better Helenius than the one that we had. If he's not willing to make the same mistakes, we shall see. And I am more or less confident that Anthony can take care of this guy. He just has to go out there with a clear head, not worrying about how Wilder looked against this guy, or Gerald Washington, or Johan Duapa, or somebody else. Just let it come.
Just let the knockout come. Don't go looking for it. Don't chase it. You go chasing a knockout, you run the risk of being knocked out. That's what happened in the Ruiz fight.
What makes this different than the Ruiz fight is that this is a bigger, slower, older target than Andy Ruiz was.
This guy's been stopped on at least 3 occasions, whereas Andy's never been stopped before. He doesn't have Andy's hand speed. His torso's always upright, not bending at the waist, not bending at the knees.
He's got a very upright European style.
He's there for the right hand.
He is experienced and he can punch a bit. He's certainly got some size.
But it's Robert Helenius we're talking about here. I think Anthony can stop him. I think he can.
I'm betting that he will. I do have Anthony Joshua winning tomorrow's fight by way of knockout. It's just a question of when does the knockout take place? When does it happen? Because beyond that, he's got bigger fish to fry. He's got Wilder to prepare for.
That's still a very big fight. Alphabet titles or no alphabet titles. That's still a money fight.
Alphabet titles or no alphabet titles. That still is a transatlantic legacy fight of former champions.
And boxing needs it to happen.